So here's the theory. There are only two ways you can learn or know something. One way is you figured it out on your own, and the other way is somebody told you. Going to school, reading a book, watching a YouTube video, all of that falls under somebody told you. And as time goes by, the first method, which is learning something and figure it out on your own, gets smaller and diminishes. That means if you are born in this age, it's probably too late for you to make original new discoveries. There are almost no absolutely completely original ideas. If you were the first person ever to exist on this earth, and then you look around and observe with nobody else in there, and you come up with ideas, for example, of how day and night work, then whatever idea you come up with, whatever explanation, this is absolutely original to you. There has been no idea before that somebody comes up with that matches that. This is completely your own idea. We are simply born too late to make absolutely original ideas and discoveries. Any idea that you have and you could come up with, it is likely that someone at some point in time has thought about this idea or something very similar to it. As time goes by, this type of knowledge diminishes, and most type of knowledge becomes where you learn it from somebody else. So in turn, what that means is you do not have enough time in your lifetime to learn something from scratch. You cannot learn something from the first idea of its conception until the final conclusion that we have as human society right now. What this causes is when you read something now from a book, or for example when you go to school, you're gonna find things written as facts, as this, here it is on a plate. There's always what I call the trust me attitude. It's always given to you as a piece of information that is the correct and final one, because there's no time for them to explain to you the history of how this idea came about, so they just give you the conclusion of it. For example, you go to school and you get told gravity exists in this manner and here is the formula for it, or you get told that the earth is round. But they don't tell you how exactly and what are the failed experiments, each one, that we had to do to figure out this idea. This is done again to save time because you don't have enough time to go through everything. The problem with this is it's going to make us, in my opinion, a little bit lazy when we are learning, because we are getting used to getting this idea of having a piece of information offered to us on a plate. That means we don't really challenge the ideas that we read a lot, and instead we look for something to accept. I think this is why people, for example, like lists. If you give them a list of things, facts, or something that they have to learn, they would prefer to do that instead of reading a whole paragraph where they have to kind of decipher and understand the information of it on their own. Not only do you become lazy, but also you become conformative. That means you open a book and you just trust that this is the gist of the idea and the information on there is correct. And if I learn it, that means I know something about this subject. At the same time, now we have the internet, and for every idea that you have, that you've read anywhere, you're gonna find the exact opposite of it on the internet, an idea that counters that. And since we all have access to so much information, there is more skepticism about every single thing that they read, and everybody's changing ideas because they simply have access to all kinds of conflicting ideas. You are obviously supposed to challenge those ideas that you learn. When you're reading a book or you're watching a video or something that's got a new idea, you're gonna have to challenge this idea. Throw at it things that make it wrong, and when you can't do it, that means maybe this idea is valuable or what you're reading is actually correct. So it's not a fact that for you to absorb, it's actually something for you to kind of think about, challenge, and then decide whether it's something that is for you or you just throw it away. There is a Japanese saying that says, if you believe anything that you read, stop reading immediately. Learning turns out to be a daunting process of a lot of filtration, a lot of removing things, and a lot of accepting some things, and a lot of change that goes on. It's not a smooth, linear process. It's a lot of work to actually get new ideas into your system and actually adopt these ideas for you. Of course, the paradox here is that you are going to use some information to challenge the new information that you read. And the one that you have in your mind that you're using to challenge should be also challenged from the time you actually learned it. I don't know if that makes sense. Just watch it again. Either way, the trick when you're learning something is to find balance between accepting what you read and at the same time having room to be able to challenge it. And in my opinion, the most ideas that you should challenge is yours, the ideas of your own. Throw at it everything that could possibly make it wrong, and when you can't find that, that means maybe you have something special. Being educated is not memorizing a book from cover to cover. When you become educated, you now have the equipment to actually contribute to the field you are educated in. So it's not basically understanding everything in the book. It's because I understand what's in this field, because I know how it works, I can now basically challenge the existing ideas in it, improve them, and also make my own ideas. I now have the skill and the equipment to actually contribute to that field. And that's what it means to be educated, in my opinion. All fields of knowledge progressed because someone challenged the existing ideas, proved them wrong, and then came up with his own version that is actually correct, and then we advance one step. This actually happens with science, physics, all the time, and with all other fields as well. That means if we all learn what's in the book, memorize it, and just keep uttering it, then the field is just going to stop and collapse. What we need to do is take this equipment and then come up with our own ideas. So remember, like I said, learning is a daunting process. Always think and challenge the ideas that you have, and at the same time, listen. Listen more than you speak, listen more than you theorize, and revise your ideas, and also attack your own ideas. Don't be afraid to do so. Have less confirmation bias, and just go towards that balance between creating your own ideas, and at the same time, when you're learning new ones, try to challenge them to make sure that they are correct or not. Thanks again for watching. Just a few thoughts and ideas that have been going in my mind about learning and the process of it and what it means to be educated. I really hope you enjoyed that. I'm finished.